Hey Marlings, this is more of a formal video where I have been, the last few days, I've been tallying up how many materials I need for my next few tails, orders that I have to put in, and I also, every now and then, I weigh a tail and I figure out its price point so that I can properly price my work and stuff like that. And I thought it would be a good video to explain and maybe help if you're looking to make a tail, help you figure out how much materials you're going to need for one tail. So we're going to go over how many and how much materials you'll need for one silicone tail. And it really depends on how big your sculpts are. You may have sculpted a massive fluke for yourself. You may have very large scales on your tail skin. Or your fluke may be small and your scales might be small. It really depends. I do know that Smooth On their website, they have a volume calculator, which you can do some maths to figure out how much you're going to need via weight and volume. Another way is if your molds are made out of resin and they're waterproof, you can take a measuring cup and just weigh your measuring cup when it's full and just slowly pour water into your mold until it fills up to the top where you want the silicone to sit. Silicone and water have a similar density in volume and weight, so that should work for you. Then just pour the water out and clean up your mold before you measure out your silicone. Now, as far as how much and what to order, Dragon Skin Silicone comes in a few different sets. It'll come in a 1 pint set, which is good for like making one pair of fins. It comes in a 1 gallon set, and that 1 gallon set, together it equals 2 gallons because it's side A and side B. You might actually get a whole fluke out of that, and a whole tail skin out of the second set. It really just depends. 1 gallon set is 7.2 kilograms, and we're going to talk a lot about kilograms and grams, mainly because it's just easier to measure and calculate in those because they're denominations of 10. Yay, the metric system.
So we can talk a little bit about what type of silicone and where does it go on the tail. So as I was explaining before, I use Dragon Skin 30 for flukes. Dragon Skin 30 is a stiffer silicone. It does take 17 hours to cure. They don't make it in a fast or medium cure. It's only slow. So that's always fun. When pouring it, I have to wait a whole day to be able to demold it. But it makes these flukes a little stiffer. You can see this is how this one naturally bends. Whereas if this was Dragon Skin 10, it would be folding right over like this. And I like something a bit stiffer for flukes. I use Dragon Skin 10 medium to pour all my ruffle fins because they're in a really narrow rubber mold, and the medium has a longer cure time, which means it settles in and really sits in the mold more than a Dragon Skin Fast does. Because Fast cures in an hour and a half roughly, and the medium takes 4 hours to cure. But all of the fins are in Dragon Skin 10 and they're super floopy. Now, the scales are also in Dragon Skin 10. They gotta be nice and soft and stretchy. So I pour, because I have to mix up about 1,000 grams per side and pour that. That is Dragon Skin 10 medium because I have 20 minutes to stir it up and pour it. But all of the glue, like what I use to glue the seams, is Dragon Skin 10 Fast because I'm just mixing up like tiny batches of like 5 grams at a time or 10 or 15 grams at a time, and I can mix it in just like 1 minute and then I can apply it down the tail. So you can use Dragon Skin 10 Fast for gluing the tail together, use the medium to pour big stuff, use the medium to pour complicated molds to make sure you get all the air bubbles out. If you have a degasser, definitely use it. I don't have a degasser. It's like a couple $100 for the machine, but I'm saving up to get one because I do think it would make my stuff nicer to get. The waistbands are always Dragon Skin 10. Medium or fast doesn't really matter with that because I cast these separately and they're usually like just 200 grams.
This is 1 gallon of Dragon Skin Fast. Now the Fast, I don't recommend using this to pour large amounts, mainly because you're going to be pouring out like 1,000 gram batches each for each side, and that takes a long time to mix, and it's really hard on the arms. It's like mixing honey. So I recommend, actually, if you're going to be ordering 1 gallon sets, get the medium. Now I have this in a 1 gallon set because I'm constantly dividing it up into much smaller batches, and these are way faster and easier to mix up. The Dragon Skin Fast takes about, you only have 8 minutes pot life, and in that 8 minutes you have to get it mixed up and poured. So for production, I normally order these 5-gallon kits. I'll order a Dragon Skin 30 and a Dragon Skin 10. Now the 30 is what I use for flukes because it is stiffer and it flows a bit more fluke-like underwater than the 10 does. The 10 is quite soft and you're going to get super floopy floopy fluke with that. But if you like that, then by all means make your fluke out of 10. But if you want something a little stiffer that looks more maybe dolphin-like or whale-like, definitely go for the 30. Okay, so now we're going to talk about painting your tail and how much you're going to need for painting it. Generally, I use a little less. So what you want to paint your tail with is Psycho paint, and don't settle for anything less. Psycho paint is the only thing that will work well on a silicone tail. And generally you can get away with probably 1 pint set per tail. Just depends on how many colors you're doing. The more colors, the more paint you're going to be using, because you have to pre-mix everything. You have to pre-mix each color into a batch. But 1 pint set should do it. If you're in production like me, you're going to be ordering 1-gallon sets of Psycho paint, which is, it's pricey up front, but it actually lasts a lot longer, and you get more bang for your buck when you order larger sizes, obviously. And when it comes to pigments, you can pigment your silicone up to 3% of the total weight, which could end up being like 130 grams for the whole tail, but you don't need to put that many grams of silicone pigment into a tail.
So you're going to want a little scale that measures 0.1 grams as the minimum. So it'll measure 1 gram, and then it'll also tell me if I've got like half a gram on there, which is good to know, because when you measure at really small amounts, you want to be really accurate.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about supplies and where to order them from. Specifically, you're going to want to narrow down your suppliers. I don't know if this, like me talking about this, is going to be helpful for my patrons who are out of Canada. It might though. So if you're in America, you may want to consider ordering directly from Smooth On if you can. What I would do is I would make up a list of materials and supplies that you're going to need and send it to multiple suppliers near you, and go with whoever has the most affordable one. Or if you want to support your local supplier, by all means do that. In Canada here, believe it or not, I live in BC, and it actually works out to be hundreds of dollars more affordable for me to order from a supplier in Ontario, because they have lower import fees initially, which lowers the price of their products, and they have lower sales taxes. If you're a Canadian patron of mine, consider looking up Sculpture Supply Canada in Ontario and compare their prices to your local supplier. Okay, Merlings, this has been a nice talk about materials and supplies. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patronage, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!